Welcome to Introduction Clicker Training Courses. What to expect today? We will do some introductions because I always like it to know who's on the call. That's why I have like limited amount of space. I like to work with people one-on-one in a group. That's what I'm known for. I will talk about what is clicker training to get everybody on the same page, how clicker training benefits a relationship with your horse, because that's why I'm super enthusiastic about it. And I will share a video how to start your horse and also how to start your horse in the context of movement training, force-free movement training, because I thought that that's a very practical application. And then at the end, I have time for Q&A. And if you stay to the end, I'll have an amazing bonus. So introductions. Yeah, Crystal. Who are you? Who's your horse? What's her name? And how old is she?
Little Lucy, her name's Lucy. She will be, I need to think about this for a second. She will be, I guess, 18 in the spring.
Oh, wow, awesome.
So yeah, so we're also getting up to that age where I probably am, she's probably not going to be or maybe we don't ride as hard anymore,
Well, when you train your horse on a regular basis, they can be ridden until like late 20s. So to me, 18 is not that old. I've worked at a barn where all the horses were 30 plus, and some of them were still ridden. While in traditional training, when I grew up, I was told that a horse is super old when he's 18 and he's like almost dying when he's 20. It's not true. It's not true. So yes, of course, after 25, they get more and more, they don't, yeah, they get some senior things maybe, but they can still be healthy and they can still be ridden. And and you can still teach an old horse new tricks. My first pony was 18 years when I started to discover clicker training, and I've never, I couldn't believe how much he learned and how quickly he learned as soon as I introduced clicker training to him. With the Pirelli and the natural horsemanship, he was very reluctant. He was like, meh, meh, meh. But as soon as he saw oh, clicker training today, oh, he was the smartest of the whole class. So yeah.
Well, that's encouraging to hear.
Yeah, because it's like I've done a lot of. I'm on a tangent here a little bit because just the two of us. Georgie will come back, but I do a lot of research on neuroplasticity of brains. They used to think that once you were an adult as a human, that you could not like learn or make new connections, and the opposite is true. You can still learn new things. So that's yeah, you don't need to be young to learn new things. So yeah. A little bit about me. How do you know me, by the way?
How
did you find me? Do you remember?
Honestly, I don't remember. It probably was on some rabbit hole I was doing on clicker training that I came across you.
Okay.
Would be my guess.
A little bit of my background. I'm from the Netherlands. I grew up there and I studied animal management. I chose to do animal management because that was the only study at that moment that wasn't becoming a vet. because I didn't want to become a vet. I just wanted to do something with animal training, animal management. One of the majors that I did was wildlife management and zoos. And in zoos, we talk a lot about welfare of animals in zoo. How do you keep them happy, healthy, and with as high welfare as possible? And then that kept me thinking, like, we lock horses up in stalls all day long sometimes, and they cannot even move around. Like, how is that welfare wise? So that helped me on the path. um, After my study, I specialized further in horses because they were always my passion. I founded HippoLogic, and I started out as a private riding instructor, and then I became a centered riding instructor because the traditional way didn't really worked for me, because it was all shouting instructions, and it was nothing about the horse. And centered riding really approached it from a different way. And then I realized that most of my clients with their horses, it was not about the riding. They all had the knowledge, they had the information, they knew how to do rising trot and whatnot. But the struggle was because they had like miscommunication. And that's when I started doing horse behavior and groundwork clinics, and specialized further and further. And then in 1999, I started introducing clicker training in my own methods. And I started with my own 18-year-old pony at the time. And then fast forward to 2009, I got a wild horse, Kira. She's the horse in all these pictures. On the top right, that was what she looked like when I got her. She was freshly out of the wild in a nature reserve. And then in 2012, I tamed her with positive reinforcement in 3 weeks. I could do anything with her. And then in 2012, we immigrated to Canada. I brought my horse with me, and then I started to work with rescue organizations like the SPCA and other rescue associations, and using positive reinforcement to rehabilitate rescue animals. How does learning happen? I learn best if I know why. That's my motivation. I never knew why I had to ride circles when I started riding, but once I learned that riding in circle is meant to strengthen the inner hind leg, and if you do circles on the left and on the right, you build muscle, and that will help your horse move his weight more, distribute the weight more equally, and eventually more to the hindquarters, which keeps your horse healthy. So this is why I want to do a little slide about how does learning happen. This is not all the ways, but some of the ways. So learning happens by reinforcement. So reinforcement is strengthening a behavior, and that can happen by appetitives, something the horse wants to have, moving towards energy, or using aversive, something the horse wants to avoid, moving away from. Horses also learn by punishment. The downside of using punishment in training is that it only decreases or stops the likelihood of a behavior, and it doesn't teach the animal an alternative behavior. It's the same if you have been shouted at, don't run in the stables, don't shout near horses. But as a child, you didn't know what to do. So it's way better to focus on what you want, like always walk slowly in the stable, use your indoor voice, or something like that, because then the learner knows what to focus on. So I don't believe in punishment. The downside of using punishment is also it has to overshadow the benefits of that behavior for the horse. So if a horse kicks his stall door because he thinks that will lead to food and attention, and he will always have a need for food because it's a survival thing. So in order to decrease that behavior with punishment, we have to punish them very, very severely. So better is to focus on what do you want and give the animal an alternative behavior. So that's why I personally don't use punishment in training. Horses also learn by observation. They learn from their moms, they learn from other horses, they learn from watching other people treat other horses. But that's also not very practical if you want to train your horse, teach your horse new skills. They also learn in play, and they also learn by exploration. That they learn, like, okay, they go to the garden hose and they discover it's not a snake. So those are some ways we learn, and in training, that is just teaching a horse deliberately specific behaviors. I use positive reinforcement. So we write that as a capital R and then a plus, because the R is an abbreviation for reinforcement, and the plus means adding an appetitive, and the minus means subtracting an aversive. Um, the, what I don't like about negative reinforcement is that I have to add the aversive first pressure before I can release it. Over the years, especially Kira, my wild horse, she taught me that she didn't like the pressure release thing, and that she learned better with positive reinforcement. And because of her, I pivoted to positive reinforcement. So positive reinforcement, you write it as R plus. It's a short way to write it. I interchangeably will use the word positive reinforcement with clicker training. Clicker training, you use the click as a marker to mark and to pinpoint that specific behavior that you want your horse to repeat. And horses learn soon to pay attention to the click and then repeat that behavior they were doing the moment you clicked. And that's how you create this two-way communication. Some of the benefits of clicker training, especially in movement training, is that your horse starts to offer behaviors. In negative reinforcement, the horse always finds their way to do the minimum in order to avoid the aversive. And that's how we create horses that are like tough on the riding aids. They don't respond to your leg aid, because they always try to do as minimum as possible. In positive reinforcement, your horse is telling you, what do you want me to do? And you know what? I'm offering more. Do I get more appetitives now? So your horse starts to offer behaviors, and once he's in the habit of offering behavior, you can pick and choose by clicking that specific behavior that you want to see more of. So it's really easy to train a horse. They will become engaged in training because there's something very valuable in there for them. Ooh, I'm getting something that I want. So they will become engaged, and you can feel that, and that's so much fun to work with a horse that really is looking forward to you coming to the barn, like, oh, let's do something. Because in general, because we keep them in fairly small areas because they're domesticated, and there's not much enrichment in general. So we are their hobby. They are looking forward, if we use positive reinforcement, to engage with us because we are the enrichment, which is super cool. And they don't have to fear aversive. Like lots of horses that are traditionally trained don't offer a lot of behaviors at first because they are so used to getting punished by offering behaviors, by, you know, doing that two-way communication. Traditional training is more top down. I tell you what to do and you do it. So that's how they have learned not to offer behaviors. And in movement training, especially if your horse is overweight and he's reluctant to move, using aversives will make it worse. And using appetitive, something he wants to work of, you can change his whole attitude towards training and exercising. Then there's some major benefits for the horse-human relationship, and that's why I really stuck with positive reinforcement. Um, because your horse starts to trust you that you are listening. So whenever your horse doesn't want to do the behavior you're asking for, um, I immediately start playing detective. Oh, why is my horse not doing it? Um, when I was a riding instructor, one of my clients, she had a beautiful Lusitano stallion, and he was always very forward, very eager to work with her, easy to ride horse. He was fantastic to work with. But one day he didn't even want to walk. He was just, and he was like, not really bucking, but he was like, so that was in the beginning of my career as an instructor, and I heard that little voice inside me say, oh, now I have to start yelling at her and tell her be the boss and make him go. But I had already that other voice about connecting with the horse and listening to the horse. And that was such a very pivoting moment, because then I had to say, like, okay, let's investigate, but I don't know what we will find, and I don't know if we can find the cause of why he's not walking. So I started asking questions. Did you work him yesterday? Maybe he has muscle ache. That was not it. And then I said, like, and she had this beautiful, very expensive custom made saddle. So I'm like, okay, let's investigate the saddle. Maybe there's something wrong with it or with his back. Um, and you don't want to insult somebody who just paid thousands of dollars in a brand new saddle. But well, she agreed with me, so she dismounted. She investigated her saddle. I was investigated, like, is there something wrong with his back or where the singe is? I couldn't find anything, so I started to get nervous, like, oh, I don't find anything. But then she found like a big piece of wood stuck in the saddle pad. And then she remembered, I did do something different today. I saddled him in the outdoor arena, so I put my saddle on the fence. It was an older fence, and that's how that piece of wood got stuck underneath the saddle pad. We removed it, we saddled him, and he was as engaged as always. So when you do this, when you listen to the horse, they will communicate more and more, and that's how you build that trust relationship. um, your horse feels heard. We all want to be listened, want to feel heard, because that's a recognition. So if some horses say, oh, okay, I don't want to do that, and you say, okay, why not? And how can I help you to do it? Like, okay, I can remove that splinter from your saddle pad. Are you willing to move now? And he said yes. And we often talked about that moment, because she also said, like, nobody ever would have said that. No instructor that she had before, they would all say, like, okay, here's the whip him. And that could have had disastrous results. He's allowed to express his fear, discomfort without repercussions. So how does this help the horse-human bond? With clicker training, you create that clear two-way communication, you build trust, and you build that mutual understanding. So that's why I like to use positive reinforcement. So there's 5 small steps to fast success. So here's the key lessons. Those are 6 foundational behaviors that help you train every other behavior faster. Um, In movement training, you only need two of the key lessons, which you can see on the right. That's key lesson table manners, which means safe behavior about food and treats in training. The second one that comes in very handy is targeting, because with targeting, you can teach your horse to follow a target, and that's how you can start teaching him that he has to move forward. So it's super simple, and then you can use that for at liberty work. So step number one is set a clear goal. Just remove that here. Set a clear goal. What is it that you exactly want? If you want to go back in riding Lucy, what is it that you want? Do you want to build her stamina? Do you want her to get healthy if she's not healthy? So by setting a clear goal, we always know what we want to work towards. An example of an unclear goal is, I want to do at liberty work. And then I always ask people, but what is at liberty work to you? It can be like trick training at liberty. It can be so many things. So have like a clear goal. What is it that you exactly want to train really helps you, because then you can make that shaping plan. You can split that goal behavior into smaller steps. Like I said, this is one of the parts that is super difficult to learn on your own. And if you have somebody who can help you define those steps, that makes learning go way faster. And if learning goes faster, you can prevent a lot of frustration, not only in your horse but also in yourself. I was lucky when I discovered positive reinforcement in the 90s, that I had like a mentor, and that just helped prevent so much frustration and other problems in training. And then you have to start. Don't procrastinate too long, because the power of starting is that you get feedback from your horse. We can make the best beautiful shaping plans, and then your horse says, I didn't read that shaping plan. And he comes up with a whole different behavior. Oh, he's not going around the cone, and he's not trotting. So that's the feedback that you get from your horse in positive reinforcement. And then you can ask yourself, okay, how can I make it more clear to my horse? How can I, like, again, back to the shaping plan, how can I make it smaller and click, like say, yes, this is what I want. And also we have to remember that the goal behavior never looks like the start behavior in positive reinforcement, because the horse has to start offering behaviors. Make the sessions short and sweet. I've got tremendous results with just clicker training animals, especially in rescues, only once a week for 5 to 15 minutes, because that was all the time that I had with some animals. And so even in winter, if you don't go to the barn every day because it's so freaking cold, if you start with just short sessions once or twice a week, and it's also depending on the goal that you have and how fast you want to see the results. Short sessions, they will remember. Why? Because there's something in it for them. It paid off. So of course they will remember. Like the moment that you see a vending machine. I think we all have done that as kids, and we try to see if somebody left a quarter. Ooh, yeah, a quarter, yay. So what do you do next time? Even if it's a month later, you will check if somebody left some money in there, because it was rewarded. And that's how we discover how smart they really are, because they will remember. But we have to offer the training in a way that they will understand and that they can remember. And then one of the keys to success is also track your training. You can track your training in different ways. I like to make videos, because then I can also see like what could I have improved. But also I make pictures of all the successes. I use a training journal, which is super simple and is easy to use, and it only takes like less than 2 minutes to use, and then you know exactly what to focus on next time, especially if you train multiple animals and only once a week. Like in the whole week you train so many animals. If I have my training journal and see, okay, we did this with Lucy, let's go back to where Lucy is at, so we can work with her to the goal that we have set for her. And the secret sauce to everything is consistency. Consistency, consistency, consistency pays off, especially with positive reinforcement. You don't have to do hours and hours of training a day. I would not recommend that, but it's the consistency. Also, we haven't talked about it, so I don't know if Lucy is overweight, but if you have like an overweight horse, it's a consistency that pays off. We cannot just put them on a crash diet and expect them to be healthy in 4 weeks. It's just every day do a little bit. So when Kira was overweight and got laminitis in 2016 in August, and then in November I could ride her already, and then in the next year she was still in good shape. Why? Because it's the consistency that paid off. And consistency is really hard to do on your own. That's for me personally. So I always look for ways to keep myself accountable, be in a group with like-minded people, yeah, to keep me going. So in positive reinforcement, there's something really, really different if you compare it to negative reinforcement, traditional pressure release training. The start of a behavior never looks like the end goal. So don't get discouraged. And that's once you know that even if you make it super, super small and you almost don't see any results, there will be results. It will pay off. In negative reinforcement, pressure release, you can take a whip and you will have trot, canter in any horse within minutes. It doesn't work that way with positive reinforcement. So we start with the beginning. We want to teach your horse safe behaviors around food and treats in training, and I call that key lesson table manners. I teach 6 key lessons, 4 trainers and 6 for horses. Table manners and targeting are key lesson number 1 and 2. And this is what it looks like. The horse is paying attention to the treats, and I teach the opposite. I don't say, don't mug. I say, okay, look the other way. And the further you move away from my pocket, the more treats you will get. So if a horse offers undesired behavior, I deliberately train incompatible behavior, because a horse cannot mug your pockets while he's not even near your pockets. So that's a different way of approaching it. So this is how I start, no matter what behavior I want to train. So this is the start, and it doesn't look like any end goal behavior, but I have a video of and some end goal behaviors. So and this is targeting. In targeting, we teach a horse to touch a specific body part with their nose. So movement training, Kira, when 2016, she was super overweight. She had the highest body score 9, which is obese, which was very unhealthy. And I started with teaching her to go to a cone. That's it. When she had laminitis, I also started with hand walking. So let's see how it looks like. This is magic. I use protective contact, so that will just prevent him from mugging me. I've had done some previous sessions with him, but he was pretty new to him. And this is an example of how you start. I clicked because I called him and he responded to his name. So I click towards all desired behaviors. And I teach him here not to mug me, but do opposite behavior, so moving away from treats and my pocket. He's doing that too much, so in this session, I'm actually teaching him to keep his neck straight. and this prevents mugging and overexcitement. This is my horse Kira. So this is some at liberty training that I did with her. And she gets a treat for offering the right behavior. So she already knows to move around the cones, so I don't have to chase her away with a whip. Um, I just point at the cone and she knows how to move around it. This is my current horse, Fionn, and Fionn is really amazing at this. So here I'm already training duration, so he can go around 4 cones. In this video, this was just a few months ago, and at this point he already canters around the cone and he trots for um, several times around all the cones for just 1 click and 1 tiny treat. And he's not frustrated and he's very engaged, and he really loves his training. So in the beginning you have to uh, use more reinforcements, but in the end you will fade out the reinforcements as much as possible and keep the behavior strong. So the challenges with Sean and movement training, I didn't really have time. I trained 5 minutes a day, but only five days or 3 days a week. But I did consistently train short training sessions over months. Um, he was really a one-trick pony. I got him also from the SPCA. He was manhandled a lot. He didn't want to offer behavior. He was super afraid to offer behavior. He was afraid of punishment, clearly. And he has what I call like a fixed mindset. He has like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. So my challenge was to help him offer multiple behaviors, because every time I raised my criteria, he was like, no, no, you wanted that. You wanted criteria number 1, not criteria number 2. So that was like, I really had to shape that behavior, made another shaping plan, split it in smaller things until I got this behaviors. So in the beginning, he was reluctant to learn because he was just afraid of punishment, and he just he didn't offer any movement. So I will show you his first session, and you just saw the results, and that was the results only of a couple of months ago. We are already further in training, but as you can see, the reinforcement rate of reinforcement, how many times I click and how short the session is so different, looks so different from what you just saw him do. So this is like what I said, as a track your training, I use video a lot also to show other people how I done it. His first training session of movement was 2.5 minutes. How do I know? Because this video is 2.5 minutes long. Let's take a look. So here he comes. He knows targeting. I taught him hand target. So here I'm teaching him to move around an object. So this is part of the shaping plan. So I already have 4 clicks and 4 times to reinforce. So I reinforce when he's walking, when I'm not walking, because that's the bottleneck of a future training at Liberty, that if I have to move with him, I cannot keep up once he trots and canters if I have to run along. So he's learning multiple behaviors at the same time. He's learning to move when I keep my feet still. You could just see that. And then he's also learning to move around an object by himself. So he's learning that he has to move on his own, that he doesn't have to follow me. And we all make mistakes. And in this video, I thought, oh, this is going so well. I am going to stay here and then send him over, which is already like 1.5 meters by himself. And then he gets confused. He's like, what are you doing? So that's a little thing that I left in there because it happens to all of us. We all make mistakes, and it doesn't matter that you make mistakes. It's about what you do next. So I'm raising my criterion too quickly. That's called lumping. So then he gets like confused. That's why he's scratching his nose, because he does something completely different, because he's conflicted. Do I stay with you because he's new to clicker training for the treats, or what do you want me to do? I don't get it. So because he did that behavior, I realized he's communicating to me, what do you want me to do? So then I lowered my criteria again, and then I realized, oh, because he was doing so well, I was just raising my criteria too quickly. So then I thought, okay, a few more clicks like this, and then he gets a jackpot. I say, all gone, and that's how he knows lesson is over. So this is really literally how I stopped. That was the only thing I did that day. And that's what I do in movement training. That's how I help people. This is the slide. It should have said Clicker Training Academy, because that's what I'm offering, and that's how I help people. I help a limited amount of people in the HippoLogic Clicker Training Academy. And when you join today, you get a full year of support. In the academy, I offer people weekly coaching in a group. Every Sunday at this time, oh no, it's Saturday today. Every Sunday, I'm a little bit confused. Every Sunday at this same time, 9 a.m. Pacific, we have coaching on Zoom, which is super cool. You can get feedback on your own training videos in the academy, and we have a members only Facebook group. And if you join today, because you are on the call today, and if you like to have a full year of support, I also offer to support you in the goals that you have, your personal goals with your horse. That's why I have only a limited amount of members. And if you join, the bonuses is that you get 3 courses including coaching, and each of the courses are very valuable. It's a confident clicker training course. It covers all the basics and more. And the more you do the basics, the more advanced you'll be. It offers grass training, because that's one of the struggled things. If we trail ride with our horses or do at liberty, that they grass dive. So when you teach your horse to ignore grass and teach him a go grazing cue, it really increases the joy with your horse on trails. And I also offer the force-free movement training, in which you saw a clip. That training is 2 weeks and is $600. So if you join the academy, I will open it up for 24 hours for 797 Canadian dollars. And the regular price for a whole year is $1,500. So that's the bonus. It's not open at the moment. You can go to clickertraining.ca, but I will open it immediately after I end this call. Questions? I'll stop the recording.